Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Today, we are going to be talking about setting goals for balance. Balancing building a successful business and being a superstar mom is hard, and yet, in today's digital world, it's more common than ever.
The question becomes, how do we successfully grow a business and children at the same time?
Join us for a candid conversation as we share our insights into marketing and motherhood. I'm Angela Reeder.
And I'm Jessie Valle. Welcome to the Marketing Moms Podcast.
Goal setting.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
I mean, I know we've done a lot of goal setting in the past, but I feel like it's something we have to continue to revisit because it's very important to us here at Marketing Moms that we set realistic goals.
Yes.
That actually have a purpose and end in sight.
Yes. And as much as we don't particularly care for like the year-long goal setting, this is the time of year when people are talking about it.
It's true.
Everybody's talking about it at the new year, setting new goals for the new year and all of that. So it seemed like a good time to revisit and remind ourselves and our listeners how to set realistic goals and make sure everything is prioritized properly. Because I think at this time of year, it's easy to be like, I'm going to do all the things because everybody else is excited and making big goals. And it's easy to get caught up in that and feel like you have to make big, sweeping, changing goals. And that's not necessarily true.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the little tweaks that make the big difference in the end. And I also find that just from motherhood or whatever perspective, that I know that it's like that cliche that it's the journey, not the destination, but it's kind of true because when we focus so much on the end, we forget to enjoy the ride there. And I just want to make sure that whatever goals that we have, that we don't forget to enjoy the moments along the way, especially with our growing children.
Yes, and they are growing so fast.
I know. So, one of the things that Angela and I have developed in the past is called our balance journal. So, it's kind of goal setting towards the idea of balance. And we've dove deep into this in the past. Balance is different for everyone. Balance is truly not something that's ever 100% attainable, but because just at different points in your life, you're going to have different focuses. But you can also work towards that life you want to have, not necessarily just setting goals for the sake of goals. Like, we want them to matter and also to us be all encompassing in your life.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what we run into a lot this time of year is that goal setting just for the sake of having goals. Like, I'm sure the last week has been filled with, what are your New Year's resolutions? What's your word of the year? What's your goals this year? What are you going to accomplish this year?
Yeah. And it's like, well, at the end of it all, does it really matter if you don't if the goal at the end is not to have that balance, or we like to say peace in your life? So Angela and I had actually developed a balance journal that walks you through what we call the 5 P's of balance to kind of take you on that journey to just work toward balance and peace in your life. And so we have certainly gone over each one of the 5 P's in depth in past episodes, but today in the new year, we thought we would just kind of revisit everything kind of holistically. And then we will link in the show notes below where you can find all the other episodes and snag your free balance journal at marketingmomspodcast.com/balance.
Balance.
Balance. And it's free and we like it because we tried to make it no fluff, just
Yes.
what you need on your way. So, all right, our 5 P's of balance are prioritize, plan, protect, persist, and ponder. So, starting with prioritize, that's where we figure out what's most important to ourselves, right? Because
Yeah.
what I think is most important in my life and what I want to prioritize is not what you're going to want to prioritize.
Yep. And
And
I think
I was just going to say, what is like a highest priority to you right now is not going to be the highest priority to you 6 months from now, most
right.
likely.
Yeah. Definitely gonna have to revisit those. Well, and I was just gonna say it also kind of goes to what we were talking about last week that like your priority may not be the priorities that you're seeing pushed right now, especially
Mm,
this time of year of like
yeah.
grow your business, get healthy, get skinny, get more money, do all the things. Like those may not be your priorities and that's okay. Like
Hmm.
it's okay to just be like I want to enjoy my family or I just want to maintain where I'm at in my business. I don't want to grow another 2 3 figures. Like it's okay. It's just that you have to find out what's important to you and not what everybody else says should be important to you.
Right. And one of the things I like about our balance journal is it asks not just what is most important to you, where do you want your priorities to be, but what are you giving your focus to? And does it align? Because chances
Yeah,
are the answer is no.
probably not.
And so that's one of the things that I like about our journal is just kind of saying, okay, well, where do I want to be and am I doing it?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, there's a whole section about setting our priorities and then also moving into our goals, which Angela and I are big on SMART goals. And if you
Yes.
haven't heard of SMART goals, it's an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. Meaning you set goals that can actually be measured, that are specific enough to, like, at the end of it, is it yes or no? Did I reach it? Like,
Yeah.
but also time bound so that it's not like, I want to do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
I
not
think
so
anyone
much.
who's tried a diet or exercise plan knows that that's not going to happen for the whole
Yeah,
rest of your life.
that's okay. So that kind of sums up the first P of prioritize. And so once you've actually set your specific goals, again, it's all up to you how many you want to take on, but don't take on too many. We say like 3
Yeah.
tops,
Yeah.
maybe 4, but even that's a huge stretch because you can really
Mhm.
only prioritize your time so much, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so after you have your goals, we move on to the next, which is plan.
This is the part
So,
everybody likes.
mhm,
Is the planning part.
yeah. So they like setting the goals and they like planning, but when it actually comes to, uh, doing it, that's the
The
hard
rest
part.
of it.
Mhm. So in the planning phase is when you take those new, shiny, bright goals and you actually break them down into manageable chunks, right? And then you ask yourself, okay, what am I realistically going to tackle in the next month? Because to us, the realistic part is the most important. It's the thing where you have to actually look deep inside yourself and say, "Okay, am I realistically going to do this thing?" And we have habit trackers in there so that you can actually plan things out. Um, planning your weeks, your days, whatever is going to help you in achieving your goals.
Yeah. And we also have in there just to take into consideration what might get in the way of your goals so that you kind of can be proactive about, okay, I've tried this before and this is what came up, or this is what I foresee as being difficult about this goal, and kind of getting into the mindset of overcoming those and ways that you might be able to mitigate those.
Yeah. And then actually adding it to your schedule. So it's not just
Yes.
oh, I'm going to do this month. No, like when? Put it down.
When
Hold
this
yourself
month are you
accountable
doing
here.
it?
And then we also, Angela and I have talked about different ways to plot your days.
Mhm.
Angela's a huge fan of time blocking, so we have some resources in there to help you with that. I'm a huge fan of the Eisenhower matrix of labeling things as important and urgent. And so we have those resources in there for you, whatever you need to help kind of make your goals slash dreams come true.
Yes, and you don't have to use all of them, just use what works for you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you've actually plotted it all out, you've planned it, all the fun stuff. Um, we're getting to the end of the fun stuff. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Now we have to actually be like, okay, the next P is protect. What are we
Mhm.
going to do to protect the goals that we've set? Right? So we got to think about those obstacles, things that are outside of our control, things that are inside our head, and deciding how we're going to actually tackle those obstacles so that we can not let them get in the way.
Yes. So, as an example, if I were going into this year wanting to be healthier, eat healthier, exercise more, do things like that to make myself healthy, um, one of the obstacles that I would consider is that we have birthday season coming up. My kids have birthdays back to back to back, month
Hmm.
after month after month, the beginning of the school year, which means birthday cake, it means ice cream, it means treats and snacks. And so I have to consider that. Am I going to let myself have a piece of birthday cake or an ice cream? Am I going to have both? Am I going to have one or the other? Am I going to find something else to eat instead? How am I going to handle those things that are I know are coming up?
Right. Yeah. And again, be realistic about it. For myself, if you told me, oh, yeah, I'm just going to skip it. No, I
Right?
can't do that. So I have to be realistic about it. Maybe I only grab half a piece
Hmm.
of cake, or maybe I do forgo the ice cream and just have the cake. Or, another thing that I realized, and this is just, uh, again, your life, whatever, but sometimes it's not about the piece of cake. It's
Yeah.
about participating with the family in the celebration. And I did that one time where I skipped the cake and everything, and I felt like I was missing out on being a part of the celebration. So I feel like you also have to take those things realistically into consideration. I didn't want to alienate or put a big target on myself on someone else's special day. So take the piece of cake and eat half?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, and the last thing in here is how are you going to stay accountable, right? So I want you to actually plan it out. Is there someone else you're going to tell about what you're doing? Who can support you? Is it, I don't know, are you going to set up some reminders in your phone? I know there are actually a lot of habit tracker apps, so maybe
Yeah,
that would be good
there are
for
quite a
you.
few of those.
Yeah, or and ones that can set reminders to pop up. Like I know
Mhm.
my sister had used this one that would help them. She and her husband were working on delegating chores, and they're like,
Mhm.
"Listen, we want to do this every this day of the week." Or
Yeah.
even remember to take out the trash on this day of the week.
Right. Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
like, so they used an app to help them do that. And, or she wanted to be better at, I don't know, flossing or something like that. It could remind her to do those things.
Mhm.
So, how
Yeah,
are you
there are
going
a
to
lot
stay
of
accountable?
options.
Mhm. Alrighty. So, after protecting our goals, now it's the persist. And if you ask me, this is the hardest one.
Yeah, this is the hardest one for sure.
Because it's just like, okay, now go do it.
Yeah, go to it
All
and
that
keep
fun
doing
stuff
it.
you planned, now you gotta do it. So that's why we start this section with asking for encouraging words of wisdom that
Mhm.
you have for yourself on days when you feel like giving up.
Yeah. Because those days are going to happen. You're going to miss a day flossing. You're going to forget to do a thing. Something's going to come up and you're not going to have time to go exercise. These things are going to happen. And the hard part is getting back up and going at it again the next day.
Mhm. Yeah. And that's one of, again, those things that we talk about realistically. You're gonna have days where you fall behind, and you're gonna
Mhm.
have days where you excel and you feel on top of the world.
Yes. Yep. And
Just
I know for
expect
some
both.
people, yes. And I know for some people, habits are very hard. Especially like people who have ADHD and things like that have a hard time. I always used to hear people talk about, oh, if you do things for a month, then it just becomes a habit, and if you miss it, like it feels off, or you feel like you've missed out on something. And I have never been like that. I can do something for every day for 6 months and forget one day and then never do it again. Uh, so plan
Yeah.
for things like that to happen and to get, and if you go and you realize, oh, I've like this whole week I haven't done whatever, it's okay. Just get right back up and start at it again. You haven't failed. It didn't all fall apart. Just get back up and start again.
Mhm. For sure. Okay. So after you've done the hard part, now the last P is ponder. And what that means is it is like a self reflection time,
Hmm.
right? So you have to reflect back on what went well and what struggles did you face. But then also, and this is the hardest one in my opinion, on a scale of 0 to 5, how would you rate your effort towards this goal?
Yeah, that one's hard. That one hurts your feelings sometimes.
I know. Even though you're like the only person that sees it, you're like, oh my God, you're right. I only
You're
put
right.
a
I didn't
one
really.
effort
Yeah.
towards that. I don't know why I failed.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
So now, yeah, now is where you kind of decide, okay, did I not put the effort towards it because why? Do I need to break it down more? Does it need to adjust? Was it not what I really wanted? And that's when you kind of do the pondering, the reflection. Okay, what can I do? So again, I don't want to go too far in depth with all of this, but that's kind of it, right? So
Yeah.
you really got to just go through those 5 P's,
Yes.
right?
Go through them, set some realistic goals, go into the new year confident and ready to make changes if you feel like changes need to be made. Maybe you're like, no, I'm doing pretty good. My goal is just to keep doing good.
Yeah. And I also feel like, as Angela and I said last week, if we want to focus on moms with businesses who are ready to maintain and not
Hmm.
necessarily grow, 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 that's what you need to figure out for yourself. You
Right.
need to figure out, what is it in my life that I want to maintain? What do I want to focus on? Where do I want my focus to be in the coming days, months, year.
Yeah.
And let's prioritize that. Like, why am I not prioritizing what's important to me?
Mm-hmm.
So, again, the rundown is prioritize, plan, protect, persist, and ponder. So, figure out what's important, plot it out, create a system to support you, do the thing, and then reflect on it. If you want access to our free balance journal, head over to marketingmomspodcast.com/balance, and we will also put links in the show notes below. And if you have any questions or anything that you'd like our support with, reach out. We are at Marketing Moms Podcast on Instagram, and we are always here for you. Anything else you'd like to add, Ange?
Have a great year.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year. It'll be December again before you know it.
Yeah, totally. And then we'll be scrounging for, wait, what is my kid into this year for presents?
Yeah, exactly.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today. We're so honored this is where you chose to spend your time.
If this episode helped you in some way, please share it with another mom who needs to hear it. We're in this together.
And if you're ready for next steps, free goodies, and more, head over to marketingmomspodcast.com.
We'll see you next week.